Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to On the Brightline podcast, Tales from Recovering Food Addicts from the perspective of a physician, a therapist, and an off-the-wall storyteller. We are not affiliated or endorsed by Brightline Eating, and all content presented in this podcast represents our personal opinions and does not represent medical, nutritional, or psychological professional advice.
Well, hello, and welcome to another episode of On the Brightline podcast. We are zooming in today with Willow. And for those of you who have been following along, Willow came on, I don't know, was it 6 weeks ago, a couple months ago? I don't remember exactly when. Oh, there you go.
She knows her first day.
She remembers her first day. So she came on right before she started Brightline Eating, and it was just a happenstance that, she's a friend of Bonnie's and that we caught her like literally days before she started Brightline Eating, and kind of got the rundown of how what she was thinking and how she was thinking through the program. And so now we get to follow up. We get to follow up and see how it's going. So Willow, how's it going? Tell us what day you're on and if there's any more numbers or stats you want to give, feel free.
Hey, I don't know how many days it's been.
Almost 3 months now.
All my other numbers. But it's okay. The short answer is it's awesome.
Yay!
And by chance this week I have reached my upper goal weight.
Range,
right? It's a range.
It's a range. That's right.
And
awesome.
As soon as I started, got about 5 pounds from my upper goal weight. I was like, I got to go lower than that. Big surprise. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's unbelievable. The first thing is that my knees, it's like they have gone into a time machine. It's supposedly it's 4 pounds of pressure per pound of weight that your knees see. So my knees are now seeing, since the beginning of the year, they are seeing 80 pounds less pressure.
Wow.
So I've lost since the beginning of the year 20 pounds, but since Brightline, like 15, 16.
Awesome.
That's awesome. And so
in 3 months, that's great.
Yeah, that is great. And you're at the upper end of your goal right now. Is that correct? Okay. Yeah. And have you thought about, are you thinking about maintenance and what that looks like? Okay, you are. Okay, yes. Good. That's awesome. That's totally awesome to hear. And I mean, what are we talking about? Math is not my strong suit, but like how many pounds per week have you been losing on average?
So I track everything. I weigh myself at least once a day, if not. Well, so in the beginning, I didn't believe how much weight I was losing, how fast. So I would do best 2 out of 3. I'd get on the scale in the morning and go, I got to weigh myself. Like, that can't be right. Get on the scale again and wait. Okay, I'll do one more time. And I'll take the whatever. Okay. So there was about week 3, I think I was losing almost 3 pounds a week. And I was a little crazy because I was just like, what is going on here? And I actually, at that point, well, okay, so this was late. I started adding food almost like the second month I started adding. I eat closer to 2 pounds of vegetables a day on most days. Just because I can.
Right.
A salad bigger than my head is actually a normal food for me for my whole life. That's one of my favorite. So I'm like, I can have a salad bigger than my head and a plate of zucchini. This is perfect. Yeah. So I started adding food pretty early on, and then I went on vacation for a month, and I am on vacation. Me is very active, and an ideal day for me is kayaking for a couple of hours, and then going on a several-mile walk if I have time. And then because I'm playing around with trying to regain some muscle mass that I've lost in recent years, I joined the gym for a month, so I was also working out, and I almost came to tears one day. I don't know what was wrong with me. I was like, I'm on vacation. This should be great. And I feel horrible and I have a headache. And what's wrong? And then I realized I was just really hungry. So I just added another lunch. I'm like, I'm going to have lunch again. So I had 4 meals that day. And then I realized if at that activity level, I'm going to add in more food. So I added in, I shouldn't say, it was another dose of protein. I added another serving of protein.
Yeah.
Serving.
On
Instead of
active
serving.
days, yeah.
Yeah.
On active days, I added more protein, still with the 2 pounds of vegetables, and then if I was really active, I add another serving of fruit.
So do you split your veg between lunch and dinner even? Like, are you 16 and 16? Is that what you're doing?
So I track everything, but I don't write down. I was initially the first 6 weeks writing down the night before and really about it, and I found that it was I was thinking about food all the time when I didn't need to be, because I was like, plan this, I'm going to plan that. And so now what I do, I just got back, so I'm not quite this organized, but what I found suited me best is I prep food 2 or 3 days a week. I go in my fridge, I have a stack of containers with protein in them. I have stacks of cooked vegetables, and I have stacks of raw salad vegetables. I get out my scale, I get out my plate, and I put it in, and I'm tracking it on my MyFitnessPal as I'm weighing it. And so I know exactly what I'm eating all the time. I'm just not writing it down all the time. And I eat the same 5 things every day. So
Right.
it's pretty, so it depends. Sometimes I'm like a couple days ago, I'd gone on a really long walk and I've needed more at lunch. So I had a bigger dose of vegetables at lunch. And then I just tapered off, or actually, no, I still had more vegetables at dinner. But anyway, I consider vegetables sort of free food. I haven't had a problem with them so far.
Well, and a lot of people up their vegetables when they go into maintenance. So just so you know, like that is an option. Like talking through like maintenance and going into maintenance, which maintenance generally is. So like I would say, since you have already decided to up your food levels, that you are in maintenance now. Losing what you can lose weight in maintenance, and lots of people do. Like that's not abnormal. Like I still continue. I still have continued to lose a little bit of weight since maintenance, and I have a bunch of ads too. So I would say, like, I mean, and you can do whatever you want to do. Like I'm not telling you what to do, but I'm just saying, like, a lot of people declare maintenance when they start adding food. And so, that's what I did. When I started adding food is when I declared maintenance. And so the reality is that, maintenance is a dance, and that, talking about activity levels and like all that sort of thing, like you're thinking about it very wisely, because a lot of people don't think through that, and they don't think about the fact that their food has to change for sometimes even seasons. Because you were saying, like, when you're on vacation, like you do a lot more exercise, and so you're going to need more food, more fuel for that exercise. And I think it's a really wise way to look at it, because a lot of people, and some people get squirrely about adding and subtracting food and need the same amount of food all the time. But I think, like, for people who have active lifestyles and maybe are more active in some times of the year than others, like, and I'm the same way, like I tend to get more active when the weather's nicer here, because we can be outside more and doing more and that sort of thing. So I think that that's completely normal and natural and sounds like super healthy. So I think that's great. And like I said, adding in vegetables is something that people do in maintenance, just to have more volume of food, just to feel more satiated. So that's great.
I have not considered adding in more starchy things, just because
more grain.
I'm enjoying continuing to lose weight, because I'm losing weight between 1/2 and 1 pound a week now. And I can maintain 1/2 pound a week until I get to my low end of my goal. So my ultimate plan is to actually put on 5 to 7 pounds of muscle.
Right.
So in my ideal world, when I have that muscle, what I weigh today is what I will weigh.
Right.
But I'm not there yet, so I need to continue losing some. But adding more grain is not. I'm like, I'm doing good without it.
I just eat, and I think everybody's body is different, right? Like I think that's the thing, is that it's funny, because for me, I went on the enhanced protein, so I was doing like basically a protein and a half at every meal, and then my first like maintenance ad was a grain at lunch, but that was because I think for the activities that I was doing, I needed that to sustain, right? Like I needed that to sustain. So obviously, if all you're adding is grain, that's a problem. And there's a list, just for those, inside the community, there is a list out there of, maintenance ads, and some people just follow the list and they go by what the list says and they add them in the order the list says. But other people really just go by what their body needs. And I felt like, for me, like, I crave protein a lot. And so I added a lot of protein into my plan just because I knew that like with the activities that I was doing and the way that my body feels, I just needed more protein. And I think that, it's harder to do it that way because, as food addicts, as people who have not had healthy relationships with food for our entire lives, it's sometimes hard to make that determination of like what our body is actually saying versus like,
what would taste good.
The emotional need of food, what tastes good, that sort of thing, right? But I think if you're like, I need more vegetables and I love to eat the vegetables, then good grief, like, yeah, all for it. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's funny. I was a little bit nervous when I started. I don't know really why, because I track everything. I can see how many calories I'm consuming every day, and it's not a lot. And started adding vegetables. I was like, God, this is really not part of the rules, but there's no police, so it's okay. But then I listened to the Brightline podcast that was, why we weigh our vegetables, and it was so that you get your minimums. And I'm like,
right.
Well, that to me, that's like, oh, free time. I can have, if I want to have a salad and an extra cucumber.
I'm curious, Willow, with the way that you've made ads. So you've added a lot of vegetable, right?
A lot of vegetables.
And like at least 6 ounces of vegetable, and you've added a protein. Yeah. How many calories is that coming out to?
I'm still coming in at about 1,400 calories a day.
Wow.
Well, and that's food choices too. Let's put that out there because but so here's the deal.
Yeah, you're doing squash, not corn, and
but this is a good conversation because
that's why I wanted
we don't count calories in Brightline eating, right? So like that's something that we talk about a lot within the community is that we are not calorie counting here. Like that's not what we're doing. But some foods are more calorie dense, right? So if I eat a steak, a marbly fatty steak every night for dinner, like that's going to carry more calories than doing chicken breast or fish or,
whatever.
And so even
if I know Willow, she's doing chicken and fish.
No, for sure.
But it's true. It's true. I am I've been careful for a long time about my protein choices, and I am not choosing proteins that are high fat. And when I add, it's definitely not. And listen, have a cheeseburger, not with a bun, but have a cheeseburger. But that's a once in a while.
But Willow, I think the difference between you and maybe someone else is that that might not be how someone else views it. It might be like the permission is like I can have whatever protein I want. Right. And so I'm always going to choose the highest fat, highest caloric option. So, and it's funny because I think it might've been on one of the accountability calls. One of the coaches were saying like our bodies will always crave and choose the highest caloric options like in their hunger, but it's like hardwired into us like from a evolutionary standpoint. And it was really interesting because it's like we have to like from our centered self sentient mind make the choice to have the maybe the leaner meat, the leaner veg, that sort of thing, because like evolutionarily like the primal brain will always go for the most caloric dense food. So it's interesting. So that's good. I mean, so I think that's good. I mean, it's good. I think it's a good discussion. It's a good healthy discussion to talk about because I think that not everybody can make those choices. Not everybody can not write down their food, right? Like I think writing, for some people, like
I do track it though. I mean, I know I can go back almost every day. There's a handful of days I can't because I don't really
but there's some people that need to write it down, and I'm one of those people. Like I need to write it down because I don't want to have to make the decision in the moment. And I understand like you prepare your food in a way that like you're not really making decision because it's there, right? But I'm just saying for some people, it's like writing down the food, the act of writing down the food, the act of even committing their food to another person, to another human being is accountability, but also just like takes away the decision, the willpower, the need for willpower in those moments. And so I just, and everybody's different. Like that's what's awesome about Brightline Eating is that you can run your program however you want to run your program, right? Like that's the thing. But, I think this is great. Like, what an amazing success! Like
part of it is, I'm not. It sounds like I'm making all these decisions, but I'm not really. I mean, there are 5 different breakfasts that I eat, and all I'm doing is deciding which one of those 5 I'm having in the morning.
Yeah.
gonna eat it. It's not like I'm getting downstairs. I'm going, what in this cupboard am I going to eat? It's like, okay, there are 5 things that I eat for breakfast.
Yeah.
Which was it today? So
Yeah.
yeah, it's just a slightly less narrow decision in the moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Let me ask you this question. Your husband, correct, is not doing bright line eating.
oh,
How has that been? Because like we talk about like living with partners that are and
it's
aren't doing
fine.
bright line
It's
eating. And
fine.
okay.
It's hilarious because he will still bring the container of ice cream with 2 spoons every time because he wants to be polite and he'll hand me a spoon and smile and I'm like, not my food, and he'll go, yeah, right. Put it back. Sorry. And I don't care. And in fact,
Yeah,
I've been making him homemade ice cream and I don't eat it. So it's fine.
that's pretty impressive.
That's impressive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's well, I'm pretty good at following rules. And I also, so this is probably crazy. I know it's a little crazy. So when I went on vacation,
I'm
so
sure it's not. I'm sure I've heard much. I'm sure I've heard much more weird things. So go ahead.
one of
I'm
the things
ready.
we have, it's very social. This is a very social vacation. We have like 40 of our closest friends and we go to dinner at their houses all the time. And in the beginning, super easy potlucks. So I would always bring my food. That would be the dishes. I would like bring my food. And then a lot of people are vegan, vegetarian, no gluten. There's a bunch of people who eat specialized food. And so I always had choices. And I'd always bring my food. And then we started having dinners that weren't potlucks. And that was a challenge. And I knew that was coming up. And so I challenged myself in advance by by eating not my food to see what would happen. I thought, am I going to break myself? Am I going to break and fall apart? And this is all going to crumble and I'm going to stop losing weight if I, eat a serving of fill in the blank, whatever it is, that's not my food. So I did it. And I just didn't care. I was just like, didn't matter.
Mm,
That's interesting. And I tried that a couple of times with, what I feel like would be my trigger foods,
mm,
and I didn't care. And I think I figured out that it's because the biggest dopamine hit I can get is putting on clothes that fit, that I like.
Mm.
And whenever I have felt challenged, and a couple of times I have felt challenged, by, being what I call fake hungry, not hangry. I've been exercising so much, but like, stressed about fill in
yeah.
the
Stress, boredom. Yeah. Yes.
yeah. And
Emotional hunger. Yes.
try on my clothes, and I have what I call my accountability pants.
We call those truth pants. That's what we call those.
My truth pants, and they are pants that so I had a week back, I don't know, some weeks ago, where my weight kind of stalled for a week, which was weird because it had been just this like going down, 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 down. And I was like, why is it stalling? Am I doing something wrong? Am I eating too much? And I know exactly how much I've been eating and it's not too much. And what the hell's going on? And I go, I'm going to go try on some clothes and look at my body and see what's happening. And I get out these, what looked like tiny, tiny pants to me that I have kept kept for years because I love them so much. They're orange corduroy. They're perfect.
I love it.
I love it. And I'm like, okay, I know last time I tried them on, they went slightly above my knees and that was it. I not only could put them on, I could wear them. And
That's
if it hadn't been
awesome.
85 degrees, I would have worn them because they're corduroy. But I mean,
That's
it's too
awesome.
hot. I was like, oh, I can actually just wear these pants.
Hmm.
So that took care of that. No longer hungry. I mean, my my momentary hunger was gone. I was like,
Yeah.
this is cool.
That's awesome.
It's kind of it's amazing. It's truly
Yeah.
amazing. It has taken my what has been my postmenopausal not following the usual instructions body, and my body is now following instructions again. Like
Yeah.
lose weight.
I think that's so interesting. There are definitely a lot of people like, oh, after menopause, like I just gained all this weight and I can't. And it's like there are hormonal changes that definitely affect your metabolism. But I also think like complacency with your food choices is part of aging too. And I just think some of that, like we get less active because we're usually doing kid care, parent care, and
Yep.
working, and activity level decreases, recreational activity decreases, and comfort foods increase. And I
Yeah.
think that's part of what a lot of people experience at middle age. It's just a culmination of habit.
Yeah.
Habit
Well,
issues.
for sure. I know I lost when I was being a caregiver all the time. I lost a lot of muscle mass during that time.
Yeah.
And but post-menopause, getting that muscle back has been
For sure. Getting muscle back is,
and that has been,
really
and I
hard
think it's
the older you
probably
get.
why my caloric, it's harder to get into a caloric deficit because I don't have as much muscle.
Yeah.
I came across this quote this week that hit me. This is from Mitchell Clark. At some point, you got to be real with yourself about the gap between the life you want to live and the life your daily habits are leading towards.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Willow, let me ask you this question. We talked about support in the community and all that kind of stuff. The last time we talked, where are you at with that? Like, what does your support look like? How are you feeling about that? Has anything changed? Is anything different?
I have a pair of orange pants.
Orange pants are the support. I love it. The truth pants are the support. I love it. I love it.
I mean, the thing is, as I recall, Willow, you're a little lower on the susceptibility scale, right? What did you come out at?
I retested also.
Oh, okay.
So initially I tested and I read the instruction. It was like, test as if in the worst time in your life and I tested at like a 5.
Yeah. At your worst.
At my absolute worst. And I'm a different person now, for sure. I mean, obviously, anyway. So, and I grew up in a certain way in a house that we ate super healthy food. We had everything was from scratch. Getting something that wasn't from scratch and whole grain and super granola hippie food was a treat. That was once a month, maybe.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was so 5. And that was in a time when I was in an unsafe space and things were weird. So anyway, I retook it the other day. I was like, yeah, well, I wonder what I really, me now. And I was a 2.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's one of the things that worried me about challenging myself when I did that pre-going to dinner at someone's house challenge. And I did that because I don't like to be unprepared. I don't want to get into a situation and not know what I'm up against. I want to have as much information as possible. Where was I going with that? It's
susceptibility score.
Yeah. So me now I'm not that person. I think I was afraid that I was that, number 5, number 6, whatever, and that I was just going to get pushed over the edge at any moment. And
like that your food sobriety was pretty fragile.
Yeah. And it turns out it's not.
Yeah.
Good. That your authentic self already likes basically the BLE type foods. And it was more just a matter of you setting the intention that you were going to stick to that.
Yeah. Sure. Things that I miss, but how much I miss them less than I enjoy putting on clothes that fit.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, and I think that's, having a why and having a solid why is definitely one of the things that, we've talked about a lot in this program. And some people's why is because, their sobriety is the most important thing to them. And that, being free from the food chatter and the cage that really is the food addiction is the why. Whereas like, for me, it was really my health and like being the healthiest version of myself, because I had horrible labs and all that kind of stuff. And so that's what keeps me on the straight and narrow. And I think, if it's your truth pants that keep you on the straight and narrow, then that's, like, that's all that matters. And Susan even says this within the program. It's like, this isn't for everybody. Like BLE is not for everyone. Yeah. And I think it's great that even as a 5 or a 2 or whatever, wherever you identify within, a food addiction, like this can still work for you. And I think that's super cool that we can have that discussion because like, I think like Bonnie, identifying as like a 10 plus, and I identify very high on the susceptibility scale as well. I was like, for me, it's like, I wouldn't even be able to do the NMF experiment. Like I would not be able to, like, I fear that, like there's enough fear in me about relapse that I cannot do that NMF experiment. But there's nothing wrong with the fact that you can and have and are fine and are living your life in the healthiest version of yourself, and that's what you've done. So, well, but I think the reality is that we're all on a journey, right?
Yeah.
So, and I think there's many people like that this, this serves for them and this serves for me, and I will do this for the rest of my life because it's the most service for me. And you may feel that way too because you've had such great success, and I think that's amazing.
I mean, I'm really enjoying it, and it's funny. My husband, weeks and weeks ago, I was eating and I was like, "Damn, this is good food." And he turned around and he said, "How many people can say that on a diet? That this is really good food?"
Yeah.
But it's not a diet. I think that
I know, but
I think that that's the reality is that, and like, let's talk about the fact that we're eating real whole foods. Like that's what we're eating.
And they taste better when you're no longer,
Well, but not only that, but like culturally now we're calling that a diet. Like we're calling eating real whole food a diet. And eating, ultra processed crap as normal. Like, why is that the, societal norm, So to me, it's like, it should taste, these foods should taste the best.
Well, I think the worry, sorry, the worry for me was that, so I have come from a place of eating whole foods primarily anyway. And going into some sort of restrictive mode, I thought, oh, this is going to be so hard. This is going to be, really, how am I going to I have to be more healthy, more health conscious than I already am. And it turns out, actually, I can cook the foods that I love and just very minor tweaks to them. And they are amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like not any, it's just such a minor shift.
Yeah.
Agreed. And I find that too, like I still cook recipes and whatever, and it's like, okay, it calls for sugar or whatever, it calls for something that has, sugar or flour in it. I just don't put it in there. Or there's some kind of substitute that can happen, you know what I mean? And it's like things still taste just as good or better even, you know what I mean? Like, or better than they did before, and that I don't have to have it that way anymore. You know what I mean? And I don't have to slather the whatever on the vegetable. Like I don't have to have the sugar laced, dressing all over my salad now because I actually enjoy the way the vegetables taste, right?
Yeah.
And that's because I've detoxed myself from the sugar and the flour,
And I think to my mind, it tastes better, not just because it does taste better, but because in my mind, I know that's better for me. So I'm happier while I'm eating because I don't have that. What am I doing to my arteries? What am I doing to my brain? What am I doing to my body by piling crap into it?
Right.
So that's so interesting to think about it that way as you eat your food. What am I doing to my body with this food?
Yeah, I think about that. I'm thinking about that for my whole life because that was hardwired by my parents. What are you ingesting?
Yeah.
You can't eat that.
And I love that your knee pain is better and that you feel better. And I think
that's amazing.
That definitely happened for me. I remember having my feet hurt every morning and thinking, well, this is aging, I guess, But
I also think it's about the weight, obviously, and the reduction of weight, but it's also about the reduction of inflammation.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
And they've shown that, sugar causes inflammation in our bodies. And so not having the sugar in your body anymore, like you've definitely reduced the inflammation, which is going to, be better for your joints in general. So that is amazing. Sure. What a testament.
So, in the subject of feeling better, I did eating at other people's the last 4 or 5 days of vacation. We were at other people's houses for dinner every single night. And so I already know, I eat a plate of vegetables before I leave the house because other people will make a salad.
Oh yeah.
6 people, that's half of the size that I eat myself.
Yes, by myself. Yes. Yeah. No.
So
I love that. When you're like, wait, that's for me, right? Like that, and they're like, no, that's for everybody. I'm like, no, that's for me. Like that's what I eat. Yeah.
So not a potluck. So I'm eating. I'm pre-eating, and that's
pre-gaming with vegetables.
Pre-gaming the vegetables.
Right. Let's pre-game with the vegetables.
And
I love it.
You get there, and it's all NMF, all of it. There is nothing that isn't. And I was like, you know what? I see these people once a year. I'm gonna eat it, and normal for me. I eyeball. I'm like, okay, that's a portion of stuff. Right. There's a portion size of stuff I don't eat. How do I figure that out? And 2 things I noticed. I decided to do this without guilt because guilt has always been an issue. I'm like, not going to be guilty about it. Just going to do it, enjoy the company, and not about the food. And then just move on with my life. And that was fine. But what I did notice is I felt like crap physically afterwards. I'm like, Jim, I can't do that because my stomach feels like it's got chipmunks running around in it. I mean,
Mm,
not good. And for me, that was how I gave up alcohol, is because it just made me feel bad.
yeah.
And that is like, I feel so much better when I eat my food. Everything is better
Yep.
Yeah.
when I eat my food. So
That's
yeah,
awesome.
I love
love
it.
it.
yeah,
I love
it's
it.
great. Thank you so much.
You
It's
are welcome.
and
Look at
So
you,
if
Bonnie. You
when you
started a
think
revolution.
when you think back to when you were starting a few months ago and
Yeah.
you had some fears, what would you tell someone else now that's having those fears or they're on the fence?
um, you've done scarier things, and it's not that hard.
Yeah,
And the benefits outweigh any little doubts you may have.
I love it.
I seriously was a little nervous about starting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
then
remember. I
this
remember.
is going to be in my back of my head. I was like, this is going to be another one of these things I try. And my body now just doesn't do this anymore. It does not behave the way I want it to. It doesn't follow instructions. I'm going to be weeks and weeks trying this, and it's going to be, or it's not going to be sustainable.
So it wasn't the fear of giving up the sugar and flour. It was more the fear it wasn't going to work.
Yeah, that I was going to go through all
Yeah.
this stuff and it wasn't going to work.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
Mm.
Valid. Yeah.
and
That's a
another
valid
one of
fear.
those, or not sustainable, or
Yeah.
what.
Yeah. I think the sustainability is really like, I think that was what I questioned when Bonnie first told me about it, is that I was just like, because I just, her and I had been through so much before that I was like, this is another flash in the pan.
Yeah.
It's not going to sustain, like, there's no way she's going to be able to sustain this. And then I saw her do it, so that was really what it was to me, is watching, not only just watching her get healthier, obviously lose weight and be healthy, but also the fact that like she could do it, and she could do it. We were on vacation. Like I watched her do it on vacation when we were together. And it was, it was one of those things I'm like, oh, well, maybe this is sustainable, because I think that's the thing about other diets, is that there's no thought about the rest of life, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like, oh, just get down to your goal weight and then you can do whatever you want to do.
And
Well,
then
the
life will be
problem
great.
is,
Everything will be fixed.
right.
Yeah.
But then the problem is that, as we all know, like we just start eating the way we did before and then we gain all our weight back. So it's like, that's what I love about Bright Line Eating, is like, it's like, not only just like, how do we lose the weight, if that's the goal, right? To lose weight. Because for some people, it's just to honestly get free from food addiction. But if the goal is to lose weight, then what do you do once all the weight is gone? And so like, that's where I'm at now, is like that adjustment. I mean, Bonnie too, I think the adjustment of like, I'm not in a weight loss mentality anymore. Like I have to be in this, like, how do I sustain this for the rest of my life? What we call maintenance mindset. How do I sustain this now for the rest of my life? I mean, I do this one day at a time, to not get overwhelmed by the thought of forever, but that my plan is to live this way for the rest of my life. So
Yeah. And it's funny. I don't even think about that really, because it's easy enough that I don't think about, oh, I have to do this for the rest of my life. I'm just eating food. It's fine.
yeah.
Although I do notice that 2 zucchini plants is not enough. Just put that out there.
Well, you're going to
Oh,
make
so
a lot of
you need to
neighbors
plant
happy.
some more? Is that what you're saying?
It's the
You need to
first
plant some
year
more
I've been
zucchini?
able not only to keep up with my zucchini, but outstrip them. I'm like, come on.
Oh, okay. So now we know we're not going to Willow's house for zucchini this year. Got it.
I know, right?
You have
Got
to
it.
go on Facebook and beg for zucchinis.
That's
So
okay.
okay,
I
before we
picked
end our
blueberries at
discussion-
Bonnie's house the other day, so
Yeah.
I hear ya.
Yeah, I think we've picked like 15 pounds of blueberries so far.
Nice.
So before we close, tell us your favorite way to prepare zucchini.
Oh yeah, yes.
It's really simple.
Let's lay it on us.
Well, favorite way or most common way?
Your favorite way.
Yeah.
My favorite way is a little olive oil and this grilled, and then some just oregano and some.
So you cut them in like long slabs and grill them like little steaks.
Strips grilled. I usually don't turn on the grill for it, and I just do it in a pan with some Aleppo pepper and olive oil and some dried herbs. Whatever.
Oh, that sounds
Goes
delicious.
in my boat. And it's very simple. And I also like them, if I'm not doing them on the grill, I do a sprinkle of nutritional yeast, because
Oh yeah.
do that little crispy on the outside.
Yeah.
I use that on tofu. Works great on
Yeah,
tofu.
I had that at your house on tofu. It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, really delicious. I wouldn't say that that my husband thinks it's that delicious, but I'm more of a veg head than he is. So
Yeah.
For him
but
though.
Maybe
yeah,
one day. Maybe one
simple and
day.
That's
delicious.
good
It's
for him.
simple and delicious.
convert him
Or with
over.
harissa,
What?
zucchini,
Say that one more time. Harissa.
grilled zucchini with a little dab of harissa on top.
Oh,
What's
yum.
harissa? Hot sauce?
It's
No,
like
harissa's like a.
well,
It's
it's
a
like
spice. It's a spice mix.
well, you can have like a paste. It's not quite a
Yeah.
paste. It's like a chunky condiment, and
Yeah.
it's chilies, and I don't know, it's magic. I can
It is.
eat it on everything.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
yeah. So
Well,
simple.
thank you so much, Willow. We're going to be winding our podcast down. And so it's fun to have you at the sort of the beginning and the end of your journey.
Yeah, and
that you're sharing.
it's just teaser. Maybe we'll bring you back on at some point and
Yeah.
just to see how it's going in another
I think we
couple
should.
Follow up
months.
in a year. What happened? Did she gain
I
5
love it.
muscle?
No. Yeah.
No
Well, but just
muscle.
I think it's great. I mean, and even like not even talking about the poundage. Like let's just talk about just like it sounds to me like you've just found freedom from food, and like you're not even struggling with the offer of the NMF from your husband, and that's just that's incredible.
Yeah,
Like it's an
that's
incredible
awesome.
place to be at. So
Yeah, it's pretty fun actually.
awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, well, thank you, Willow. We appreciate you so much. And that's it, guys. That's this episode of On the Bright Line. If you want to ask us a question, feel free at onthebrightlinepodcast@gmail.com or hit us up on any of our socials. Have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.